Hey everybody, it's Scott in Rogers Gardens. Of course we're in Rogers Gardens. It's Tomato Mania. We're excited to be here. We've had a terrific stay so far and we're not done yet. We got lots more to talk about, many more things to offer you. And so we hope that if you haven't made it in, we'll see you this weekend. We've restocked and got everything all fresh and done for you. So it's going to be a great weekend, and the weather's, after this rain this week, the weather's cooperating as well. So it's just going to be beautiful. Today, we're going to talk about classes of tomatoes, kinds of tomatoes. Just sort of divisions of tomatoes, if you will. If you're walking down the aisles at Tomato Mania, you'll pass these two and yeah, they look pretty much the same, right? They're not at all. One's a cherry tomato, right? And one's a beefsteak. Huge difference. And look, it's part of your tomato strategy as you look at your season. And maybe the most important part of a scheme as you get the spring going in your tomato garden. What are you gonna grow? Or what are you gonna eat? What do you wanna eat? If the kids will only eat cherries, you need to pack your garden with a bunch of cherry tomatoes. If you really like the biggest of the beefsteaks that you can just sink your face into, or plant across a hamburger for summer barbecues, a beefsteak is what you might want. So it's important to think about, geez, what do I want to grow? And maybe that starts with what do I want to eat? There are several classes of tomatoes that you'll see as you roam the aisles out here. The most obvious, and the one that I think most people see in terms of tomato land, is probably the beefsteak. A beefsteak is a large, heavy, often lobed like a pumpkin, sort of a tomato. They tend to be flattened, not a round tomato, but flattened. And again, a little bit like a pumpkin shape. They can be anywhere from 10 ounces to almost 2 pounds. You probably know the big ones if you've grown that before. And they come in every color of the rainbow. So whether it's Virginia Sweets or Cherokee Purple or Delicious, right? Burfy Delicious. There's just a bunch of them that'll make you really happy. But the key thing about beefsteaks you need to remember is that comes in at the end of the summer, August. You're way into July and August before you get fruit. So you got to be patient if you're doing all that. On the other end of the spectrum, cherry tomatoes, small, abundant, productive. We love them. They're often really big and binding. They may start earlier, right? But you generally have a longer season and a longer sort of harvest situation with a cherry tomato. They're the closest to the species tomato, so they're tough, right? And again, every color of the rainbow. Sun Gold, which you probably know, is the world's favorite tomato, the little orange one. And again, there's stripes, there's blue shoulders, there's all sorts of things out here that you ought to find while you're shopping. In the middle of those two ranges, you have things like saladettes, sauce tomatoes, right? Slicers, plums or Roma types. All of those things can play a role in your garden. One class that's underappreciated is the oxheart, which is a very dense, meaty, it's a chef's tomato, right? Because it's all meat and no seeds, no cavity. So an oxheart is a very unique thing, again, that most of us really don't think about or don't know in the tomato realm. There's one named after Anthony Bourdain. It's called Anthony's Passionate Heart. And it's a wonderful wispy plant, so it has an interesting character. But it's also this big, meaty, sort of, again, Valentine or bull's heart shaped tomato that I think might be the most unique thing in your garden if you choose to plant it. A saladette tomato, like a green zebra or a Jean Flamme, is kind of a chef's tomato. You cut that in 4, it's a perfect, beautiful little slice for a salad or some other use in the summer. Roma or paste types, you probably know those. San Marzano is the classic. That's a tomato that's on the dry side, thicker walls, lots of meat, processes easily. You can that. You put that up or you put it in a sauce. You generally have to add all the seasoning because it's not often the most tasty on its own, not often the most tasty tomato, but it's a terrific choice for those of you who want to put up any kind of tomato dish or sauce or like that for the season. And then you got your slicers. Sweet Tangerine, Carmelo, oh my gosh, Champion, Celebrity, there's a whole slew of those. Nice and round, perfect when cut, and just beautiful for burrata to match with any Italian dish. You can go with those. And they're I guess slicers are really more a multi-purpose tomato. And because they're in the middle of the range, they're middle of the size range, they work really well everywhere. Those of you at the beach, we always say you ought to grow a smaller tomato. Well, that will work for you on the beach. If you have coastal influence, it'll also work for you everywhere. So slicers are a good choice for many of you. So those are the main divisions in the tomato classes. As you go through Tomato Mania, you'll see pictures of all these on the information cards or the shelf signage that will give you to sort of acquaint you with all these babies. So you'll have the chance to look at that, decide on the other features of these tomatoes, and make really good decisions. Because you don't have to have a tomato strategy, but it sure helps. Have fun out there, have a great season, and enjoy whatever class of tomato you grow.